You're standing at the airport curb with your rolling bag, the late afternoon light slicing between the terminal canopies. Your heart tightens when you reach for your passport, and it isn't there. Just a worn driver's license in your wallet, a boarding pass on your phone, and a flight that departs in an hour. The murmur of announcements, the beep of a coffee machine, and a line of passengers moving toward the check-in kiosks make the situation feel urgent and a little hostile. Take a breath.
If your flight happens to be canceled or delayed, Compensair will help you get compensation for the inconvenience and get your money back without wasting time on red tape. Get a refund for your canceled flight right.
If you're flying inside the United States, you probably have options, but you need to move deliberately, check the right places, and give yourself time. I'll walk you through what most airlines and TSA accept, what to do before you head to the airport, and what happens at the counter and the security checkpoint if your passport is missing. By the end, you'll know which documents are considered acceptable identification, how to prove your identity if you temporarily lack one, and the cheapest practical backup so this doesn't ruin your trip. Before you leave home, check the booking confirmation and airline policy and make a clear scan or photo of any government-issued ID you do have. For most domestic flights, the common keywords are real ID, state driver's license, passport card, military ID, and DHS Trusted Traveler Cards. If your state-issued license is valid and current, that usually works. If it's expired, or you've changed your name and haven't updated documents, take steps now to bring secondary evidence: a printed itinerary, credit card used to buy the ticket, and another form of ID like a student ID or a utility bill with your name. At the airline counter, the agent's first job is to match the name on the reservation to an identity document. If you present a valid, government-issued photo ID, the agent issues or confirms your boarding pass and you move on. If you do not have an acceptable ID, the airline may still let you check in at their discretion, but expect extra questions and longer lines. When the agent hesitates, politely ask what specific document they need or whether there is a supervision or manager process. Airlines differ, but will usually tell you whether they can issue a boarding pass without a standard ID. At TSA Security, TSA is the gatekeeper. Their standard list of acceptable IDs for adult passengers includes state-issued driver's licenses and non-driver IDs, U.S. passports and passport cards, DHS Trusted Traveler Cards, Global Entry, Nexus, U.S. military IDs, and other federal IDs. If you don't have one of those, TSA has an identity verification process. They'll ask you to complete a form, answer questions to confirm your identity, and may perform additional screening. That process can take 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes longer. The key is remaining calm, cooperative, and allowing extra time. Why does this rule exist? Think of the ID requirement like a lock on a front door. The lock exists to prevent unauthorized entry into a protected space. Airports and aircraft are tightly regulated environments. Airlines and TSA must verify that the person on the ticket is really who they claim to be. That's the same reason stores check a credit card signature or a bank teller asks for ID. It's basic identity verification to limit fraud and keep people safe. Concrete consequences. If you arrive at the gate without an acceptable ID, best case, the airline and TSA accept alternative proofs, and you board after extra screening. You lose 30 to 90 minutes, but keep your ticket. Mid-case, the airline refuses to issue a boarding pass, and you must rebook. Rebooking fees or buying a last-minute ticket can cost anywhere from $75 to $500 for domestic flights, depending on the carrier and fare class. Worst case, you miss the flight entirely and lose a non-refundable fare. On cheap fares, that's the entire fare, while a replacement ticket might run $250,700. Also expect time costs and stress, missed connections, hotel or rental car losses, and the hassle of changing travel plans. The cheapest, safest solution is practical and simple. Bring one government-issued photo ID that the TSA accepts, ideally a current driver's license or state ID that lists the correct name on your ticket. If you can, carry a U.S. passport book or passport card as a backup. If you know your state issues real ID-compliant licenses and you need to fly after enforcement dates, plan to upgrade your license in advance. If that's not possible, print and carry extra documentation that supports your identity and your right to fly. Printed itinerary, credit card used to buy the ticket, a recent bank or utility statement showing your name and address, and a secondary photo ID like a work or student badge. If you discover the passport is missing right before the flight, act fast and in order. First, call the airline's reservations number from a quiet corner and explain you're at the airport and missing your passport but have a valid state ID. Next, go to the check-in counter. If the airline refuses to check you in without a passport, ask politely for a supervisor and for exact written policy. If you've already checked in and are at the TSA line, tell the officer you do not have a passport, but you do have other documents. They will start identity verification if warranted. Keep receipts, photos, and digital copies of your documents on your phone so the airline or TSA can cross-check. Many useful links can be found in the description. A couple of important cost facts to plan for. Replacing a state driver's license ranges widely, typically $20 to $80, depending on the state and whether you need a replacement versus an enhanced or real ID upgrade. A passport card costs about $65 for first-time adult applicants. A passport book is more expensive, often over $130. Expedited passport processing, if you must get one quickly, adds government and courier fees that can total $100, $200 extra. Membership in paid identity services like Clear runs around $150, $200 per year. That service speeds you through security, but is optional and never required to fly. One specific misleading upsell to watch for: paid identity or expedited security services. Vendors like Clear advertise a fast lane and make it seem essential, but that's a voluntary membership with an annual fee, not a substitute for acceptable ID. If you're missing proper documents, paying for Clear will not change TSA's verification requirements. Similarly, some booking sites and airline pop-ups will offer identity verification for a small fee during check-in. These are often unnecessary or duplicative of TSA and airline processes. If an agent or a site asks for an extra charge to check your ID, refuse and ask to speak to a supervisor or use another official channel. Your rights. You do not have to buy a paid identity product to fly domestically. You must present acceptable identification or complete TSA's alternative measures. Practical checklist before you travel. 1. Confirm the exact name on the ticket matches your photo ID. 2. Carry at least one government-issued photo ID that TSA lists as acceptable. 3. Carry a backup, passport card, military ID, or DHS Trusted Traveler if you have it. 4. Scan or photograph IDs and email them to yourself and a trusted contact. 5. Arrive early. Plan 2 hours for domestic flights if you have a documents question, and more if you anticipate extra screening. If you're traveling with children,
Note they have different rules. Children under 18 usually don't need ID for domestic flights when traveling with an accompanying adult, but airlines may require proof of age for lap infants. Check the airline's child documentation rules ahead of time and bring birth certificates if needed.
Final practical moves. If you fly often, consider getting a real ID-compliant driver's license when your state allows it, or keep a passport card as a compact backup you can store in your wallet. If your travel is one-off and you're missing ID, call the airline first. Go to the counter with as much supporting documentation as possible and allow ample time for TSA verification. If you are denied boarding because of missing ID, ask about rebooking policies and keep receipts. Sometimes you can appeal or rebook without heavy fees, depending on the carrier and fare rules. Travel is stressful, but missing one document doesn't have to mean disaster. Know the acceptable identification list, bring backups, allow time, and refuse unnecessary paid services that promise to fix something TSA will only resolve with proper documentation. If this helped you feel more prepared, please subscribe and like. I post clear, practical travel answers every week.